People have long been enthralled by the oddities and wonders of the circus. This week, we looked at an exhibition that put these wonders on display.
New Haven's 100-day challenge to reduce homelessness was completed this summer. See what progress the city has made since that.
Stay tuned for these stories and more. It's Your Yale, Your Week, and Your News. Hello and welcome to YTV. I'm Stefina Yuli. To start, we'll go to Michael Leopold in the newsroom for this week's headlines.
Thanks, Stefina. Charles Johnson, the largest single gift donor in Yale's history and former chairman of the mutual fund Franklin Resources, has been accused of fraud. According to the New York Times, a lawsuit filed Wednesday names Johnson at the center of an alleged scheme to conceal shares worth $130 million from the heir of one of his firm's earliest investors. University President Peter Salovey said he did not yet know specifics about the case beyond the media's report, and that the university has no plans to issue a formal statement regarding the case. In 2009, Yale University Press was criticized for redacting images of the Prophet Muhammad from Brandeis professor Jit Clausen's book, The Cartoons That Shook the World. After the recent fatal attack on 12 cartoonists, Yale faculty, students, and experts raised new criticism towards Yale University Press and urged the university to modify its stance in future. Clausen said there was no credible threat at the time and that the university was overly risk-averse. Former Yale World Fellow Alexei Navalny has walked out of nearly 11 months of house arrest. Navalny came to Yale in 2010 to conduct research on how to refine his anti-corruption message to achieve greater impact in Russia. His press secretary says house arrest was a way to isolate Navalny from his political and anti-corruptional activities. Navalny has asserted that his isolation was illegal, and the court has denied all police attempts to place him under arrest again. In response to student feedback, the YCC is calling on the university to reform its financial aid policies. The YCC presented its suggestions to the administration in a 58-page report on January 9th after conducting student-wide surveys and hosting a town hall with Director of Financial Aid Cesar Storlazzi last semester. Among the recommendations were greater clarity in financial aid award letters and a short-term freeze on the student effort portion of aid, with the eventual goal of seeing student effort completely eliminated. That's it for this week's headlines. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Michael. As frigid temperatures greeted students returning to campus this week, so too did comfortably heated dorms, classrooms, and libraries. On neighboring streets, however, another segment of the New Haven population found no such respite from the brutal January weather. Chronic homelessness has long plagued New Haven, yet local organizations have recently joined forces to make a swift and radical dent in this situation. Reporters Rebecca Faust and Wayne Zhang give us an update on last year's 100-day-long effort to eradicate chronic homelessness in New Haven and the initiatives and goals that local organizations have for 2015.
Walking down the streets of New Haven, one sees a striking dichotomy. As privileged students and faculty enjoy the resources of one of the world's top universities, homeless individuals dot the streets surrounding Yale's iconic campus, struggling to survive beside them. But last summer, United Way of Greater New Haven teamed up with the Rapid Results Institute and local organizations to launch the 100-Day Challenge, an accelerated effort to make chronic homelessness a thing of the past.
We had two goals, one of which was to house 75% of the chronically homeless in New Haven, and that's about 107 people in our region. And the other goal was to build a new system that would allow us to sustain this rate of rapidly housing people.
The plan that we worked with the New Haven team on was to optimize the use of the resources in the Greater New Haven to address the issue of particularly chronic homelessness.
A few months out of the 100-Day Challenge, we have 142 people that are in houses that were previously homeless, and another 74 that are within weeks of also being housed. So about 200 people will have been housed through this effort.
The 100-Day Challenge has changed the ways in which local agencies respond to New Haven's homeless population.
Over the last couple of years, we didn't see any kind of measurable reduction in the number of people who are homeless.
There was a conviction that before somebody is put into permanent housing, if they have substance abuse issues, these should be solved first. But now there is a principle of housing first, meaning give a person a roof and a key, and that is part of the recovery from some of the issues they're dealing with.
People started working together. Things that can take months to years happened within weeks.
Yale has lent a helping hand in the anti-homelessness campaign, both through monetary contributions and student efforts.
The YHAP, the Yale Hunger and Homeless Action Program, is a huge contributor to efforts in New Haven. They helped fund an emergency fund for emergency needs of the people who are going into these apartments. We definitely feel like the Yale students are really a tremendous ally in this effort.
The momentum that began with the 100-day challenge has continued with additional housing placements and local agencies working to ensure that those who receive housing stay housed.
In 2015 and definitely by 2016, we will have eliminated chronic homelessness in New Haven. The exciting thing about that is we can move on to a new group of people, families, people are transitioning homeless to see what are their interventions.
When you find those folks and you house them in supportive housing, they will remain housed. Their lives can change. Life's wide open to someone when you put them back in a condition where they can be successful. It works, and it's working really well here.
For YTV, this has been Wayne Zhang and Rebecca Faust.
Students hoping to get involved in the effort to end homelessness in New Haven can help to ID local homeless on January 23rd. Those interested should contact John Bradley at john.bradley@yale.edu.
This past week marked the debut of Sideshow, an exhibition held by the Yale School of Art. The show explores the intersection of fine art and the historical carnival sideshow, seeking to celebrate the people and art that are often considered taboo or offbeat. We go to Nora Etienne and Celine Tien for more.
A man with no arms, a woman with two heads, a performer who swallows swords. In Sideshow, an exhibition curated by the Director of Undergraduate Studies in Art, Lisa Carezzi, the oddities of nature are on display. The exhibition, which opened on January 13th, highlights both the artistry and the controversies surrounding the historical sideshows at carnivals.
Sideshow is a show under wraps that you would pay for to see something different, something odd. I think that what we're trying to do here is bring together actual ephemera from those times, bring together artwork that is inspired by those times, but also bring together some artwork that is critical of that.
What I think's particularly exciting is that Lisa and Sam and everybody else has managed to bring it into an academic, intellectual setting where it can be mused upon and considered in an historically cultural way.
The concept of the carnival sideshow is nothing new, but it is the first time that the sideshow has entered Yale School of Art's galleries.
You find the equivalent of sideshows in Greco-Roman art. You find them in the Commedia dell'arte in Italy. This is a long-standing exchange, but I have never seen a show that is about the sideshow per se.
A former curator from the Yale Art Gallery, Robin Jaffe-Frank, is now the chief curator at the Wadsworth Athenaeum in Hartford. Started curating a show about Coney Island. We're talking, and I was doing some consulting on that show, and she wanted to sort of branch out over the state and have related shows, and I said, well, why don't I do a side show to your big exhibition?
Sideshow itself is a sideshow, serving as a complement to a larger scale exhibition at the Wadsworth Athenaeum Museum in Hartford, Connecticut about Coney Island sideshows.
The fact that we're here in a gallery doing the same material that we've been doing in Coney Island and other sideshows around and cabarets around the world, for me is hugely exciting.
I think the quality of the artwork is really high, and also the featuring of the performances in the exhibition room is really interesting.
But the over 50 pieces of artwork presented in Sideshow not only look into the past, they also speak to the enduring fascination with the extraordinary and the voyeuristic nature of reality shows and entertainment today.
Part of my concept was actually that I was going to have screening reality television in the gallery.
With its juxtaposition of popular culture and fine art, Sideshow adds an exciting level of diversity to the Yale art scene. For YTV, this has been Nora Etienne and Celine Tien.
Sideshow is being held at 32 Edgewood Avenue Gallery and is on view until March 20th.
And as all Yaleys know, this week marked the very hectic time of year we all know as shopping period. This week, YTV went to the streets to see what Yaleys are most excited about this semester. Peter Chung and Nicole Daly tell us more.
So how would you describe your shopping period experience in one word?
Oh.
Gut.
Enjoyable. It's been okay.
Easy.
Fun.
Hectic.
Very hectic.
Hectic?
Hectic.
It just makes me nervous just thinking about shopping.
So it's like trying to fit a lot of different pieces into a puzzle.
Do you have any crazy shopping period stories from this year or last?
Last year, I shopped 25 classes.
Definitely walking into a class and the professor says, if anyone is a freshman here, you just need to leave right now. And then all 10 freshmen in the class demanding to stay.
And it was smaller than I thought. It was about 5 people, and I probably shouldn't have walked in half an hour late because everyone looked at me, and I was like, oh, hi!
I showed up, and only 2 people were there.
What are the crazy classes that people are shopping?
So race and gender in American literature.
Vikings was one of them.
Brain and behavior.
The history of food.
To black women and pop music culture, and people were lining up saying the class was going to be capped at 18 people.
Structure of networks was one that I personally tried to get into that most non-seniors were rejected from.
And when you're blue booking, how do you make sure that you get the best classes that Yale has to offer?
I just make sure to keep going on if I don't have a set schedule, because for some magical reason, every time I go on, new classes pop up.
I just type in random fun words like sex into the search bar and see what comes up.
Well, there you have it, Yale. A few students' experiences with shopping period this semester. And while this time of year can certainly be stressful and hectic, it's an integral part of the Yale experience. For YTV, I'm Peter Chung reporting.
There's only one more week of shopping period, so best of luck finding that perfect class.
And as always, we end with our Everybody Has a Story segment. On January 26th, the Department of African American Studies is hosting a forum entitled Ferguson and Beyond. This week, Cody Pomeran sat down with Professor Crystal Feimster, an assistant professor of African American Studies, whose academic work is on racial and sexual violence. This week, we got her thoughts on race, policing, and what she thought about the incident in Ferguson. Here are a few highlights from that interview.
Hi, welcome back to YTV and Everybody Has a Story. We hope you had a good break and a good new year. 2014 is over, but the repercussions of all that happened last year continued to reverberate well into 2015. From the protests in Ferguson, Missouri over the shooting of Michael Brown, to the killing of unarmed 12-year-old Tamir Rice in Cleveland, to the death of 43-year-old Eric Gardner at the hands of police in Staten Island. Here to talk with us about these events and their impact on race relations today is Yale historian Crystal Feimster. Feimster is an assistant professor of African American Studies and American Studies and is the author of the book Southern Horrors, Women and the Politics of Rape and Lynching. Professor Feimster, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Cody.
Lastly, you gave the keynote address at the Norwalk Human Rights Day event last month, and you talked a little bit about the future of the civil rights movement. Trying to read the tea leaves a little bit, what does that future look like, and what role can students at Yale and other universities try to play in it?
I want to be optimistic about the future. At the same time, I know that progress is slow, that it does not come without fights, it does not come without losses, and that people are going to continue to have to put their bodies on the line, right? And then we will take some steps back. I like to think of the Obama moment as a step forward. But I've also understood that in the 8 years that he's held office, that we've gone back in some ways, that we've gotten lazy in the way that we think about race and how racism functions, because we've been able to sort of say, oh, look, we have a black president, we are so advanced, look how far we've come, when in fact we have such a long way to go. And, critical race theorists argue that racism is insolvable, that it is going to be here forever. So the question is, how do we inch towards a more just society? For me, that means teaching courses where I give students the tools to engage in what I see it's a struggle that's just going to keep moving. You know, the issues might shift, the players might shift, but we're going to constantly be fighting for equal justice and equal rights for our citizens. I don't think we're ever going to get there. I think things can get better, but I also understand history, and things can get bad again, right? So what can Yale students do? What can other students? You know, some of them can take to the streets. Some can write the stories that make these issues relevant and important and inspire people to fight for justice and to fight for change, right? People have to get comfortable talking about race. That's what I do in my courses. You got to be prepared to say the stupid thing and have somebody say you're an idiot. That we have to have these conversations. And again, that's why, for me, the teaching is really important. That it's not just about having folks up on a panel saying, this is what you should do, this is what you should be thinking about, but that we are going to engage in a conversation with the students in these breakout groups where we get them to think about what tools, what gifts do they have to bring to bear, what are the stakes for them, what are the stakes for the communities that they have to go back to, whether that's in Cincinnati, Ohio, or New York, what can they take from Yale, from our courses, from the teaching, to change their communities for the better. And it's hard work, and it's slow.
Crystal Feemster, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Cody. It was a pleasure.
And as always, thank you for joining us for YTV. This has been Everybody Has a Story. I'm Cody Pomerantz. See you next time.
To see the full interview, visit the YDN website.
And that concludes this week's news segment. For now, we'll leave you with a video from Yale undergraduate admissions, welcoming the class of 2019.
Thank you for watching. It's your Yale, your week, and your news.
Congratulations and welcome, class of 2019. We are so excited to be welcoming you to Yale over the next few months. We wanted to give you a brief glimpse of what you have to look forward to as you become a member of our community.
Yo, my experience was hype from the first second I stepped on campus.
We had all just arrived on Old Campus for our freshman outdoor orientation trip, and we'd all dressed up as these weird things. Like I was a super duck, so I had a beak and a cape. And this girl comes up to me and hugs me, and she has face paint all over her, these black spots because she's supposed to be a panda, and I have no idea who she is. And then she's just like, Diane, we're roommates!
I remember I had first gotten off the train and I was in New Haven and I got to Yale's campus and I had no idea where I was or what I was going, what I was doing. And then I just heard the jam. I just heard like some old school music, stuff like that. So I didn't know where to go. So I started following the music, showed up to my pre-orientation program. Still didn't know where I was living, but we all just started dancing.
Freshman fall, I had so much fun blue booking. I had my master, my dean, my freshman counselor, my peer liaison all help me create a schedule that I was really excited about.
The first time my roommate and I ever bonded, we played a Beyonce playlist, did not get to our work until 4 a.m. It was the best.
So my first residential college field day, I see like a water balloon flash across me coming from none other than my college dean?
The freshman holiday dinner. There were ice sculptures, I was with my friends, there was a food parade, and the eggnog was amazing.
I found a fabulous feminist community with my first on-campus job in the Women's Center.
My favorite memory of Yale so far is with my a cappella group. We sang for the LA Lakers in the stadium, and it was dope. We sang the national anthem, we were on TV, and I loved it.
My favorite weekend of fall semester is always cheering on the Bulldogs at the annual Harvard-Yale football game with 20,000 other Yalees and alumni.
I remember coming back from winter break thinking that I'd be super homesick, and then getting back on campus in my college and seeing all my sweet mates and realizing that actually Yale was home.
Welcome!
Welcome!
Bienvenidos!
Welcome!
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 Class.
Class!
Classic!
Class!
Of 2019!
2019!
2019!
2019! Job!
2019! 2019! Woo!
Welcome home.